Hello there, this is Brennan Marr, host of Page Turners They Were Not, a Star Wars podcast. And I'm here to tell you about Anchor. Anchor is the best way to make a podcast. Why is that? Well, first off, it's free. Yes, you heard me right. Anchor is free. Anchor has all the tools you need to make a podcast from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you on various platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can make money from your podcast. And get this, with no minimum listenership. That means you can make money even if no one listens to your podcast. That, of course, is not ideal, as Anchor will allow you to spread your podcast, bring in more viewers, and you can make more money because of it. Everything you need to make a podcast is in one place on Anchor. If you're interested, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you, and may the Force be with you. Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Marr, and that noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not Always podcast. Today, I would like to talk about what order you should watch the Star Wars movies in. Now, let me preface this by saying, imagine for a minute that you have a friend who's never seen Star Wars. The question always comes up. If you want to introduce them to Star Wars, what order should you watch the movies in? And this has been a debate for many years, which is now even more complicated given how many movies there are. And at various different time periods in the Star Wars saga. Now, there were old ideas, and you've probably heard of the machete order, which involved leaving out the Phantom Menace and watching certain movies in a certain order, yada yada yada. That's not my preferred version. In fact, may I be so bold to say that if you have a friend who wants to watch Star Wars in its entirety, don't skip a single film. No. The machete order was the idea that you would watch A New Hope, also known as Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and then watch Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then conclude with Return of the Jedi. I think that order was invented before any of the new movies existed. I am not in favor of cutting out the Phantom Menace because not only does it introduce the idea of the Sith on screen, the Sith were written about in the supplemental materials of the original trilogy, but never said on screen until the Phantom Menace. Also, the Phantom Menace includes the idea of Anakin as the chosen one and the idea of bringing balance to the Force. And those are crucial to the overall saga, and I don't think you want to leave them out. That being said, what order would I suggest? Well, okay. This might get a little complicated, but bear with me. I have two ways, three technically, of ways you can watch Star Wars. Let me just get one of them out of the way. Now, my friend and I watched all the Star Wars movies last year all the movies up to The Last Jedi, because Rise of Skywalker had not come out yet. And we saw that in theaters, so we technically did finish. Now, he had seen Star Wars, of course. And when he was younger, he had seen them in, the re-releases in the theater of the original trilogy. He'd seen the prequels. He'd, seen the new movies. So he knew them, but he didn't watch them obsessively the way that I do. So he knew the basic story. So I said, okay, well, let's marathon all the Star Wars movies. He's like, all right. So what did we do? We watched them in chronological order of the timeline. Beginning with The Phantom Menace and going chronologically to The Last Jedi. Meaning we watched the prequels, we watched Solo, we watched Rogue One, we watched the original trilogy, and we watched the sequel trilogy in that order. And that works if you know someone who has seen Star Wars, but isn't a big, huge fan and wants to watch them again. If they know enough of it, you can watch it, I think, chronologically. Now, let's say your friend has never seen Star Wars. Okay. This will entirely depend on which versions of the original trilogy you own. Okay. I am very lucky to own the limited edition DVD releases that include on the second disc the unaltered original films. I would recommend personally, if you have access to the unaltered versions, I would watch the movies in order they were released in theaters. I'd watch the original trilogy, watch the prequels, watch all the new movies. It would be out of order. That's true. But that is my recommended way. Now, why is it important, you may ask, that I'm referring to the unaltered versions? Well, here's why. When you get to Return of the Jedi, you see the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker. In the unaltered version, the ghost of Anakin was played by the same actor who played him in the suit when he is unmasked. And that is the great British Shakespearean actor, Sebastian Shaw. Because of that, and you see the Force ghost, you know they're the same person. Now, obviously, later, that was changed to be the actor Hayden Christensen, who, of course, played Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequel trilogy, or at least in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. Now, if his Force ghost pops up, and you're not familiar with Star Wars, you might be confused as to who it is. That is why I would recommend watching them in the order they were released, so that you get where it began and where it ended in terms of making of the films. Because it all began with Star Wars. And the problem, I think, with prequels are that often prequels have the conceit that they assume you know the original. Because if they come out after, then they're not going to be introducing you to the story or the world the same as the original did, because they have that built-in conceit. That's the problem with prequels. Its chronological order can often be confusing, because prequels just assume you already know the world and know the characters and know the exposition that explains that world. So, if you happen to have the unaltered versions, watch the movies in release order. Okay. Let's say you do not have access to the unaltered version, and you have access to either Disney Plus or the Blu-rays. I would not recommend watching them in chronological order, because what that does is it gives away some of the big surprises. Because if you watch the prequels first, you'll go, oh, wait a minute. I see, that guy is that, yeah. Okay, these people are connected, these people are this and that, you know. It ruins the surprises. So, if all you have access to is the Blu-ray or Disney Plus versions, here's what I would recommend. Watch Star Wars, aka A New Hope. Watch The Empire Strikes Back. Watch the prequel trilogy. Watch Return of the Jedi. And watch the others in the order they came out. It's a little jumbled, it's true. But if you don't want to give away the big spoiler in The Empire Strikes Back, once they know that, then you can show them the prequels, and it doesn't ruin anything. Except maybe for the fact that Luke and Leia are siblings. That would kind of give that away. So, I'm going to make a strange change here, so just bear with me. Okay. I would say watch Star Wars, watch The Empire Strikes Back, watch Return of the Jedi, up to the point right before the Alliance meeting. So watch the first, 40 minutes of Return of the Jedi until the scene with Obi-Wan's ghost talking to Luke. Watch that scene and then stop Return of the Jedi. Then watch the prequel trilogy and then return to Return of the Jedi. And the main bulk of the story. And then watch the Disney era films in release order. So that's a bit confusing. So, to reiterate, if you have the unaltered versions, watch the movies in release order. Meaning real world release order. If all you have are the Disney Plus or the Blu-rays, watch Star Wars, Empire, the first 40 minutes of Return of the Jedi. You know, watch the scene where Luke learns Leia's his sister from Ghost Obi-Wan. And then watch the prequels. Finish Return of the Jedi, and then watch the others in release order. So those are the two ways that I think you can watch it. Depending on what you happen to own. Hopefully that was not too confusing. For any further information, you can contact me on Twitter at BrennanBlue. That's BrennenBlue. So those are my thoughts on the watch order of the Star Wars saga. Let me know your preferred orders. My name is Brennan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And thank you for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Stay healthy, stay safe, and may the Force be with you.